Hello friends, today in this video we are going to learn how to create new user accounts in AWS EC2. Also we will see in how many ways we can connect our instance and user to EC2 instance. So let's start. This is our terminal and first we'll log into our AWS account. So I am here in my AWS account. So I will switch to Mumbai region. Let me switch it there. Yeah, now in EC2 window we will launch one instance for us. So we are choosing Amazon Linux 2 AMI 64-bit x86 system. Now we will select T2 instance, that is T2 micro, which is eligible for free tier. So let's click on next. We will leave everything as default and move to next. By default it is adding 8 GB of storage and we will go with that is SSD storage. Click on next. We won't be adding any tags here, and this time we have to add security group for our instance. Let me see if I have any existing security group. I don't, so I will create a new security group. Let me add it as Mumbai EC2 access. I'll be pasting the same thing in description, and this security group will provide us connection to our EC2 server using SSH protocol. You can see port is 22 and SSH, and source can be anything, so you can select it from anywhere. So that is anything. No need to add description. If we want, we can. We will click on review and launch. Now just click on launch. So now it is asking asking to create a key pair. Key pair is the pair of public and private key generated, which help us to access to the EC2 instance using SSH. So we don't have any key here, so we will create one. Click on create a new key pair. Then we will go with RSA. We can use only these two, either RSA or AD25519. So just let me name it as Mumbai. Then we can download. So if we click on download, so we will get the public, we will get the private key file, and the public key file will be stored on our EC2 server by AWS. So let us download it. So yeah, it got downloaded. Now we will click on launch this instance. So it is getting launched. Until it is getting launched completely, I will get back here. Our instance is running now. So let us see what we got. So we have public IP with us, private IP. So we will be accessing our account using this public IP. Also status check is in progress, but we need not to worry about that. So let us connect to this EC2 server, whatever we have now. So we will click on this connect button. Here under SSH client you can see the steps we need to follow to access this server. So first we will open an SSH client, then locate the directory of whatever file we have downloaded. So if we go to terminal, then we see if I cd to key where I have installed, where I have saved this file, this private key file. You can see mumbai.pm. This is the name we have saved it with. So now as we are in that folder, we can proceed to the next step, that is for permission. So we have to limit the permission for this private key file. So let us copy that, and we can paste the command here and run it. So now permission has been changed, and then we will connect to our EC2 instance. So to connect, we will copy this command and paste it here, and then it will ask for the permission, and now we are connected to our EC2 Amazon Linux 2 AMI instance. You can see the username has been changed to EC2 user, so user is EC2 and this is the private IP 172.31.6.33. so you can see if I cancel this and select this, 172.31.6.33 is a private IP, but we can't access private IP from here. If we want to connect to this instance, we can use public IP address. So if we copy this, or let me copy this connection string it is providing, then we will paste it here, then we will copy this public IP, then in place of this URL, the whole URL, this much big URL, we can use the public IP. This will also help us to connect to the same AWS account. So let us copy this, and here we can log off of this instance, exit. So we are now again back to our personal computer. So now just let me paste the command here. So I think I was correct, 189, it was 189. Yeah, so this time we are connecting using the IP, the public IP address we got from AWS console. So if we do that again, we will be able to connect to the same EC2 instance. Got it? Now okay, so this was the one way we can connect to our instance, and the easiest way we can connect to any Linux instance that is on EC2, that is as use EC2, and we have connected it as user EC2 hyphen user. So now let us create a new user in this machine. So to create a new user, we will use command sudo add user and the username whatever we want. So here we will create a new account with the name YouTube. So it will be YouTube, and it is done. So new YouTube user has been created in this machine. If we want to go to that particular user, so it is like sudo su hyphen and the username, that is YouTube. So now you can see we have been logged into YouTube account. So this is how we can create any user in our EC2 instance. So let us exit that. Now let us set a password for this new user. So we are at one level up, that is we are at EC2 user instance, we are admin and we have created this account, so we can create password for that account also. Let us do that. Sudo passwd is the command for password, then YouTube, that is the username. So then it is asking to set a new password. I will set a very simple password, and it is saying it is a bad password. We should maintain some password policy while setting any password, but since while I am using this for test, I am using a very simple password. We will retype the same password, and now it is saying our password has been updated successfully. So we have created a new account with a new password. Now what we have to do, we have to access the new user from a different machine or using a password. So suppose we have a different machine now, and we want to access this EC2 machine, this instance using YouTube user from different machine. So there we don't have that pem file, that private key whatever we got here. If we want to share that private key, that is not a better option, because private keys are not meant to be shared. So we will access first from that machine using password, and then we will create SSH files for us. So now if we try to access using password now, we won't be able to, because password access is by default disabled for any EC2 account or EC2 instance. So we have to first enable that. So to enable that, we will move to the folder root etc ssh. And if we list it down, we will see there is one file called sshd_config. So always use this file sshd, not ssh.config. We will edit this file. This file is having the configurations, so we will edit that and make password access possible. So sudo vi sshd_config, and now we got this file. So as you can see here, some comments are there. If you go down, you can see all the settings have been present here. So here it is saying authorized key file is present as at this location, and if we go down here, you can see password authentication is no, so we can't access any EC2 instance using password. So we will just comment this line, we will comment this line and uncomment this line where it is saying password authentication is yes. So it is as simple as writing this password authentication to yes, then no. It was already written, so we had uncommented it. Now we will save this. Since this has been saved, so we have to restart the SSH service now so that it can take from the new file. So it is like sudo service sshd restart. Now it is saying the service is getting restarted. So let us check the status of this service. Sudo service sshd status, and it is saying it is running. That means we can access to our EC2 instance using password now. So let us try that. So let us exit this machine. Now we will move to some other folder where we don't have this .pem file. Now we will try to access using the older method we had, like using this sshi file and the server name. So this is like ssh, I is the command to add the file, so we can add the full location of this, but we are not adding this time. We will just use this EC2 user @ the public IP of that EC2 instance. So let us remove that because we want to access it using password. So what we will do is we will use the username we have set password for. So SSH YouTube is the username and this is the public IP of our EC2 instance. Enter. So this time we have been prompted to add password. So I will provide the same password and we got logged in using YouTube account of that EC2 instance, Amazon Linux 2 Fine. So this is done. So we are able to access it using password. Second, I will access it this way. Let us copy this command from another Linux server. So I have one Linux machine opened on Docker container. So we will try to access that EC2 instance from this Docker container. So don't need to worry about Docker container. You can think, if you don't know about Docker, simply think it of like a normal Linux machine. So we are at this machine with user root @ this server, and then we will try to access our EC2 instance with the username YouTube from this account. So yes, then password, and we have been logged into EC2 instance. Now if we exit this and try to connect once more, again it will ask for password. So this thing we don't want. We want it to access using the keys which it were accessible before from my machine. So for that we will create a pair of public and private key on our Linux machine, what is running on a Docker container. So in this Linux machine we will create a pair of private key and public key, and then we will put our public key there on AWS EC2 instance, and we will not be asked for password after that. So let us do that. Let us create private public key pair. So the command for that is ssh -keygen - then you have to set it up like what kind of keys you want. So if you remember, while creating EC2 instance we had set up it as RSA, so we can either choose RSA or one another was there, so we will choose RSA. So we will not put any file name, we will keep it as default id_RSA. So it is saying it has been created, then we will not set any passphrase, and here we can see it is created. So we can check this also. So if we do cd.ssh, we can see this id_RSA and id_RSA.pub. So this is the public file and this is the private file. So let us push this public file to AWS EC2 by a command. We can do this simply by a command, that is ssh copy id, then we can just put username. Let me copy this from here, username @server name. So if we are doing that, it is asking for password. Let us give password for the last time, and it is done. It has been copied there. Let us clear everything. So we have been moved to this YouTube server. I think I have done a mistake. I have created this on EC2 instance itself. See, I had to run that file here in this machine, this Linux machine. So when we have this root and @server name. So let us do the same thing again, ssh keygen trsa. So this time it is done. We are on this machine. ssh copy id, it will ask for password, and yeah, it is done. So next time if we run ssh YouTube and @public IP address, we will not be asked for password. We will get logged into that account automatically without any password by using that keys. So this is the thing I thought of explaining in this video. Let me know your comments and thoughts about this. Thank you.